Today's video is sponsored by Silver Falls Trading Company, a veteran-owned business specializing in organic, single-source, direct trade coffees from all over the world. At Silver Falls, your coffee is not roasted until you order it. Visit their website to check out all the available flavors, and remember, when you support my sponsor, you support this channel, and I sure appreciate it. We're on the phone with TJ Armstrong. TJ is the bass player for Johnny Hiland. TJ, you want to kind of give the viewers who don't know anything about you kind of a resume or an overview of who you are, what you do, where you play, all that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure very, very few people have any idea who I am, so this is good. My name's TJ Armstrong. I'm a bass player. I've been playing forever. Lived in Nashville for the past 5 years. Before that, I was in Detroit for a couple of years and Los Angeles for about 10 years. I used to play with a band, a Universal recording band called After Midnight Project out of Los Angeles. Was with that band for about 5 years. Moved to Nashville, and within the first 6 months, met, and he wanted me to be in his band, and we therefore. Well, pretty much almost 5 years, I guess, now. And actually, I've been lucky enough through knowing Johnny and being with a bunch of other guitar players of that same ilk, of, the same guitar hero thing. Guys like Neil Zaza, Johnny, Johnny's contemporaries, the Phil Kagis and Brent Masons and all those guys. I've had the opportunity to jam, just being behind Johnny, being able to jam with these guys. And recently, actually, just in the last couple of weeks, I landed. I don't necessarily say that I'm the guy or anything, but I just did a 2-show run on the Monsters of Rock cruise with Mr. Tony McAlpine.
Yeah,
he's a legend.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about that too, because that's the whole reason I had you call me back, and you called me and you started jabbering on about it, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. Let me actually set up a live stream, or so I can actually capture this in an interview, because I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. Tony McAlpine is somebody who I'm sure most of the guys who grew up in the '80s are going to know. He's one of those who are up there. He actually played. With Steve Vai quite a lot on some of Steve Vai's shows.
That's absolutely right.
Right. And a lot of people know, they'll know the Steve Vais, they'll know the Joe Satrianis, but some people may not know the name Tony McAlpine unless they're a real hardcore, guitar player, and they grew up the same time we did, and know who he is. But yeah, man, you shared a video where you played a show with him. So what was that like? You said you had to cram for the show. What was the cramming process like for a Tony McAlpine show, and how long was the show?
Each show was an hour-long set. So, enough to, there's a lot of notes flying around in that hour.
Yeah.
So, but of course, I love Tony McAlpine, and I'm in my 40s, right? I'm 42. Been playing a long time, and I've known about Tony and everything, just the same as I know about Greg Howe and Jason Becker and Steve Vai and all that kind of stuff. The difference between, say, Satriani and Vai is, like, if you said, "Hey, man, we're going to do a couple Satriani songs," I actually, I've heard those songs a million times. I've heard, that stuff. I've heard
like
Vai
Summer Song
100 times.
Yeah,
Summer Song, or For the Love of God, from the Vai collection or whatever. These tunes I've heard. It's oh yeah, cool. Tony is kind of a little more. Well, he's kind of, his stuff is not like, his stuff is almost like prog and fusion, like with the time changes, the odd meter, the altered harmony, the through composed thing, where it's just so, every piece is so reliant on every other piece, and if one thing moves, the machine doesn't work right, and it just gets weird, because it's already, there's already no, there's no kind of grace there, like everything has to be done surgical, really, really perfect, So, knowing that and going into it, I got a call from a friend who, the tour manager and stuff, and he said, "Hey, man, can you do this and whatever?" It's like, "Well, sure, let's hear the music." Now, as soon as I got the 10-song set list, I realized very quickly that I probably got myself in a little bit over my head. The last 5 years of playing breakneck bluegrass with Johnny has been amazing and has really gotten my hands together.
Right.
But this is different. This is way different. And so that being said, I got the material and started listening. It wasn't even a matter of charting the stuff right away, because that was a whole nother endeavor. And he sent me, Tony was kind enough to send some bass stems from the record and all the charts. But the charts are all notated like a classical pianist would notate them. It's all notation. It's like a lead sheet, like a score. And I haven't read, strongly since college. I haven't really been hired to do that or asked to do that, so I've kind of let it slip a little bit.
Right.
And my reading isn't that great. So I'm looking at the charts, going, "Wow, it's all right here," and I have no idea what it says. so but then I go by the Pino Palladino, Billy Sheehan way. It's like, yeah, those guys don't read either. Right. And they're fine. And it's the Nashville number chart thing is kind of where my whole head has been in the past few years. So I've let my reading slip, and of course, there's a gig like that would have really, really helped. Probably saved me a lot of time.
Right.
So now it was, I get the call on February 17th, actually, and I was up in Canada. I was seeing my girlfriend and my parents and stuff, and so I'm up there, and I get the call. So I start listening Sunday night, listen again just all day on Monday, and then start charting on Tuesday. And I drive back to Nashville from Canada, 10 hours. So there's a wasted day, but I listened, I put those 10 songs on loop and just listened for the 10 hours, to those songs. And then got back.
How are you feeling at that point? Like, were you feeling strong about your prospects of being able to pull it off?
At that point, we had a rehearsal scheduled, just me, the drummer, and the guitar player, without Tony, on the Friday before we left. So we drove down to Miami from Nashville on Saturday, the 23rd or something, just like last Saturday. Yeah. Or a couple Saturdays ago. So we had a rehearsal, and so I charted as much as I could, but I had huge glaring holes in my charts of parts where I'd hear it and going, oh my God. Because that's the other thing too, for being a bass player, it's very, I found, and unless we're talking about Vi or Satch, because those guys have, their mixes are really good, but a lot of times these guitar records, these Guitar Hero records, they're kind of more of a guitar snare drum record, and you can't you know what I mean? Oh yeah. Like, you can't hear the bass. I have no idea what the bass is doing in half of this stuff. I'm trying to listen, and it's not like that big fat bass in the mix how it's supposed to be. It's kind of
like Jason Newsted on Justice for All.
Right. It's more, it says he's on there. I don't know if he is, but it says that he is. Right. So listen to this stuff. It's like, okay, so the guitar player probably tracked the bass, probably used a pick, probably had it through a guitar amp with a ton of fuzz on it. No wonder I can't tell it's a bass. I have no idea what's going on. So huge glaring holes in my chart. I'm like, okay, well, hopefully the guitar player, who is none of the second guitar player in Tony's band, is a guy named Emil Wursler, who is, for all you Instagram and guitar guys out there, Emil is, he is monstrous.
I know of him.
Crazy cool guy too.
I know of him actually. He's like a PRS endorsee and goes around and does like all the PRS promo shows and stuff like that with a buddy of mine who also knows him. So I the first time I ever heard of him was through that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So Emil's the second guitar player, and
cool.
Yeah, and it's just like, the only thing cooler than his playing is him. Like, he's just a cool dude, man. He's really cool. And I'm very fortunate to have met him in a capacity where, we were equals, as opposed to me being like, oh man, hey, I think you're really great.
Yeah, right on.
So it was cool. We were equals, and there for the same gig. And he was funny. He said to me, he was like, man, he goes, I see that look on your face. Ago, I had that look on my face, like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, so the whole week that I'm trying to learn this stuff, I think I might have slept, 2 or 3 hours a night, because my brain is going, why is there 2 bars of 9 into a bar of 7 into 2 bars of 4 into a bar of 5 into a 3 count over this? Like, I get it, it's amazing, but why? Good Lord, why? So that I was just freaking out a little bit. So Then I'm like, okay, cool. We got this rehearsal. I'll go do the rehearsal. I'll shoot some video on my phone of able playing through some of the parts, so I can just take it home and learn it. Well, I get home to my house, and I had, it was really, really rainy here in Nashville, and stuff was flooding, and I was having a concern with some water coming in my house. So my rehearsal time for Friday evening was kind of cut a little bit short. So then I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. We got to drive down to Miami. We probably have a van or something, so I'll sit with my headphones and in my bench in the back in like a 15-passenger van or something. And cool, I'll be able to do that. I'll have the drummer and guitar player right there. I'll have all these holes filled by the time we get there. Tony will have no idea how freaked out I am, and everything will be great.
Yeah.
Well, I roll up to the tour manager's place, and he's packing everything into his, 2011 Jeep Patriot. So it's an SUV, four grown men in an SUV with all our luggage, a bunch of guitars. Like, how is this going to work? So there's my 16 hours of, shedding the stuff, completely gone. The only option I have is to just fold myself up. I'm 6'4", right? So fold myself up in the back seat and just put my headphones on, try and sleep when I can, just try and listen to this lesson, and pray to God.
Right.
That's all I can do.
I mean, that is an extremely scary prospect. I mean, given enough time, I think a person who is competent on their instrument, like you clearly are, can learn this stuff. But cramming for something like that, like cramming for a Tony McAlpine show that's an hour long, I can't I can't imagine the butterflies.
Oh, and also the thing of spent all these years trying to put my best foot forward when it comes to dealing with people, because the music business, there's lots of ego flying around and stuff.
Yeah.
So I should try and keep myself grounded, try and be a nice person, try and be generous, try and be all these kind of things.
That goes a long way.
It really does. It really does. And but I guess what I'm trying to say is I've spent a lot of time doing this kind of stuff, so I know that if I just had the time and I didn't have that deadline, I think that part of the thing was knowing that deadline was coming, and it was like non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Like every second that I had the material and I'm listening to it, going, oh man, am I setting my? There's all these years of work trying to be as professional as I can be. Am I going to completely just tear it all down by, pardon the expression, by shitting the bed on a gig? Like I didn't want to do that.
Right.
And so, but every second that I had the material, it was like, okay, I can probably do this. I can do this. Maybe I can't do this. Oh my God, I can't do it. I was like, I can't call him back and say I can't do it because I've just taken another day away from another guy to prepare.
Right.
If I say I can't do it. So if I was going to say no, I should have said no on the Sunday when I got the call, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And now it's Wednesday and I'm driving back to Nashville. It's like, geez. And I'm listening to it going, I can't do this. I'm totally, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And just freaking myself out. But then it's Wednesday. Rehearsals on Friday. We drive to Miami, 16 hours in that SUV to Miami. I can't. It's me.
Yeah.
And so all I got to do is just hunker down. And
if you say if you say you can and you commit, and then it turns out it's like, oh, I just can't, then your reputation takes a hit.
That's exactly it. So
Yeah.
It was either the rep taking a hit based on that I got cold feet, or my rep taking a hit because I failed.
Right.
Or my reputation becoming better because I came out the other side. I actually did it okay. The first we had.
You're breaking up just a little bit. Maybe change where you are for a second and see if that helps. You're breaking up just a little.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It might be me as well.
Well, probably.
Yeah. It always is.
You're the one sitting in a room full of stuff that's probably getting in the way of your phone, right?
Probably tons of RF interference, I'm sure. But yeah, let's try that again. What were you saying there?
That's a good question. What was I saying?
I don't know. I'll tell you what. Let's before we get back into it, I want to go ahead and interject here, and I want to play the video that you shared onto your Facebook page, just so the people can kind of hear it here. So I think this runs about 1 minute and 49 seconds. So sit tight for 1 second here.
Yep. that tune. That's a tune called Pyrokinesis.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you what album it's off of. I didn't know that. And definitely one of the, not, there's 10 tunes, 6 of them were kind of, all right, I could do that. 4 of them were kind of tough, like really weird time and everything. And something you need to kind of know and get used to and be familiar with. You can't, I had a hard time just jumping in,
Right.
But I did it, and that gig right there, that was Thursday, this past Thursday.
Right on.
The last of the cruise.
So
at around 9 o'clock at night. So to interject for 1 second, sorry to interrupt your train of thought there. What brought this on? Did the other bass player quit midstream? What happened? Do you know? Well, there was a tour that was going on, I guess, a month or something ago, and they were out doing their thing. It was actually the bassist in the band is someone that I look up to quite a bit. His name is Steve Jenkins. And he's a fantastic, amazing bass player. But I guess there was a problem with something, and the rhythm section quit. Both the drummer and a little outside of my pay grade for the fact that I had just met them.
Oh, but, sure.
I wasn't going to ask, hey, what did he do? But probably nothing. It was probably just they probably had other gigs, or it was a money thing, or whatever it could be. 1,000 different things could get. Sort of thing. So, but Steve is a monster. Steve Jenkins is a monster. So
who else did
I
he?
knew it was him.
I recognize that name from somewhere. Who else has he played with? Do you remember?
Yeah, well, Steve is kind of Steve is like a chameleon. The guy does either like the craziest bebop jazz or like the most metal stuff.
Okay.
He's like he's like that stuff. But he's a New York guy, session cat from what I think. And I'm not exactly sure of his resume, but my YouTube search is going for show me a bass player that'll blow my mind, and of course Steve Jenkins comes up along with there's a couple other people, but
right,
he's one of those guys. So I've just known him as kind of and then you see his list of who he's played with. It's like, okay, yeah, cool. That's probably why I'm hearing about him, because he's played with that person, that person, that person, that person.
Right. So one of these road cats.
Tour. Yeah. He's doing like a partial tour or just doing a record or whatever the case may be. And those two worlds are very, very different. I've been lucky enough to track for a lot of people over the years, but I've also been lucky enough to tour a lot. And those two worlds are not everybody is kind of likes that. They're two very different worlds and very different mindsets. So some cats they spend their living doing the studio thing, and they get a call to go and do a string of shows, and they don't like it, so they quit, or they love it and they stay. It can go either way, I suppose, but there's certainly two very different worlds.
Yeah. So, what are the prospects, do you reckon, of you staying on with them? Was this just for like 1 or 2 shows contracted, or how'd that work out? Are they going to give you a call back, maybe, or?
Maybe. I hope it'd be really cool. I think. Well, like I was saying, the first gig we had was the Monday of the cruise, and I was still kind of uneasy about a couple things. Had a couple uneasy parts, and then we had rehearsal every day on board the ship up in one of the cabins with no amps. So it's just plink, 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 and Tony's listening, going, "No, that's wrong. Do it again." And but he's the nicest guy in the world. He's funny, super smart, like amazingly nice guy. But he comes from the Vi world. Yeah. And Vi comes from the Zappa world, which is like, I will spend 3 hours working on this small phrase with you until it's correct. Right. And that's what we did. Like, I sat in the room for an hour with him, trying to get one passage that had 3 notes in it that I was not hitting right. And he drilled it into me the same way Vi drilled it into him, and the same way Zappa drilled it into Vi. So it's just like you can see how the lineage happens, and it's actually really cool, because I'm sure Tony is not nearly as harsh about it as Frank Zappa was. It's probably mellowed over time, a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure. But how does that feel to kind of be part of that pedigree in a way? I'm sure that's a bit of a head fuck, isn't it?
Well, it is a little bit. I feel that same way about Johnny. Like I still. And you're talking about Johnny Hiland, of course. Johnny Hiland, yes. I'm sorry, yes. And I want to actually say real quick, if I can, to anybody that's listening that's a fan of Johnny's, if you heard and didn't know, yes, Johnny moved to Virginia from Nashville. It's where his wife is from, and he wanted to be closer to that, part of his family and everything. I'm still Johnny's guy. and we're still going to be doing shows. New gospel record coming out. As soon as that happens, please, guys, there'll probably be a thing on iTunes or whatever to grab it. But just so everybody knows, Johnny is still very much writing and doing his thing and his Facebook Live stuff and all that kind of crap. So
Monster
anyway,
player. Anybody who hasn't heard of Johnny Hiland, you've got to check out Johnny Hiland. If you like any of the chicken picking stuff, like I think a lot of people come to my channel because they kind of dig sort of the faux chicken picking I do, which is a pale shadow on the ass of the fly that's on the ass of the bull. That is Johnny Hiland. You know.
Well, I gotta tell you one thing though, and all your people listening, Brad he's a bit of a holy cow, man. Like you were doing something the other day. I commented on the video. You're playing some Les Paul at the end of this video. You were doing an amp in front of that lovely red Fender banner, by the way.
Oh yeah, the one you gave me. That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Looks good, right?
Yeah, man. I was like, holy shit, Brad! Like you were playing, man. You were going. And I was like, that's why I invited you to come out to Johnny's farewell show, is because of that. You're a bit of a motherfucker, man. Pardon my language, but holy cow, that's cool. And watch Brad's stuff because he can fix an amp too. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Yeah. Well, if you're watching this interview on this channel, you probably had an inkling, I'm sure.
You probably had an inkling. And Brad, you've got something of mine to fix over there. I can't wait for what kind of monster it's going to be. And I bought something cool up in Canada. I got to tell you about it in a different phone call. Cool little amp I need you just to completely monsterize for me.
Okay,
anyway,
well, we'll see what we can do.
All right. Now, so, Tony McAlpine, I called to do the 2 shows. So, first of all, the Monsters of Rock cruise is really fun.
I was going to ask you about that. Is that one of those cruises you go on? Is he the only act, or is there several acts on that cruise?
Oh, man. So there was, you're going to love this. This is going to be a complete thing back from your childhood. Okay. So let's see here. King's X was on board.
Oh, wow.
Tesla was on board. Yeah. Oh, Vixen was on board. And actually, that's funny. My buddy Tyson Leslie. What up, Tyson? Tyson Leslie, he's a keyboard player for Vixen. And he's here in Nashville. And he's a monstrous keyboard player. And he's amazing. And he was on the ship playing with Vixen. So that's from his page that I shared it from. Is both those videos. There's the outdoor one on the Monday and the indoor one on the Thursday. So,
right on.
Anyway, so King's X, Tesla, Vixen, Danger, Extreme, Kip Winger was there, Kip Morris, Faster Pussycat.
Wait a minute. Now, okay, so just a second. Danger is what's
Andy
his face?
Simmons.
Is Andy playing with him?
No, I would have gone and saw if Andy was playing. Like the 2 guitar players, well, the 3 guitar players was Ty from King's X, he's on board, and he's monstrous.
Oh, okay.
Nuno Betancourt was on board, and he's monstrous. And
wow.
Tony McAlpine, in my opinion, those were the 3 guitar players on board. Everybody else was just kind of holding one.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but Courtney Cox was there too, from Iron Maidens and Femme Fatale. Femme Fatale played as well, and those girls can play.
Yeah.
God damn.
Cool. I'll have to look them up.
They're great.
What kind of stuff?
So anyway,
are they like a cover band? They have their own stuff.
I want to say they have their own stuff. I'm pretty sure they have their own stuff. I think Femme Fatale was around like 80s.
Okay.
Probably had a couple hits because the whole band is full of like really like young, like 30s, whatever, young, very attractive ladies.
Yeah.
And the singer is probably in her 50s or something, maybe a little older than that. But
so she's
still,
probably
like,
OG.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like she kind of looks like Lita Ford a little bit, like just a rocker, hardcore rocker. And the whole band is full of like younger women who are just killing. Oh, and the bassist, I think the bassist is original too, because she's not like 20. She's a little bit older too, but geez, I hope they're not listening. Holy cow.
Man, there was some hot chicks on it.
Right now, Brett. It doesn't matter how well I did on the ship or how bad or whatever. I'm ruining my reputation right now by talking.
By talking about you.
All right.
Man, she had some of the biggest personality I've ever seen.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. Unbelievable. Sun, that orange glow.
What was that again? One more time.
Oh, yeah. Everybody had that kind of like spray on tan kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And leather vests and pants are alive and well on that cruise.
Nice.
Yeah, but Kip Winger was there. Man, he looks old.
Kip Winger, man. Good Lord.
Yep.
Every time I hear that name, I think about Beavis and Butthead. Winger sucks.
Yeah, Winger sucks. And it's funny because he mentioned that there was like a question and answer thing with him.
Yeah.
On like the pool deck. So I'm walking through and everything, and he's talking about that. Like he never had any single or anything that was any more popular than that one like 30-second thing on Beavis and Butthead, which completely made and destroyed his career in one fell swoop.
That's extremely interesting because Kip Winger may be the very first of the hair metal memes because of that.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, I think so. That's just so funny.
Brad. Hang on one second. I gotta hang on one second.
Sure.
This cold weather's not my friend. Anyway, I'm back.
So yeah, man. I did notice that. Let's see. If we go to Tony McAlpine's tour page, it looks like he had some scheduled gigs, like one for today and tomorrow. It looks like he was touring like a monster here. I don't know if these are up to, I'm guessing these are 2019 dates.
Yeah, there was a tour, and I know that the tour is going to commence in June. There's they had to postpone a bunch of stuff, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because of the stuff that happened. So the tour was going. It was going to be right up until Monsters of Rock, and then we do that, and then the tour continues after. But I know a lot of shows got blown out because of something. Probably the same reason why the band kind of got rearranged and everything.
Okay.
I don't know exactly. So, but to answer your question from before, I was asked to do the two shows on the cruise, and with the prospect of, the tour manager was saying that they wanted to keep the same band that was going to be on the cruise for the June tour. Now, I don't know if I'm in the running for that. I don't know. I'd like to know because I will, kind of start learning the stuff again, like today.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
Got a couple months,
Oh, and if you've got, if I were you, I'd start working on it anyway because just here and there. Because if you are able to do it, then I'm sure you'll be a lot prouder of the next shows than you were. You know what I mean? Like those first two Cram shows.
Yep, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
And I felt pretty good about the last one on the ship after rehearsals and getting it down. And when Tony looked over his shoulder at me and gave me the thumbs up at the end of the night, I felt pretty good, And that's, I went in scared. I came out a much better player, and it wasn't about chops. It wasn't about chops at all. The second if I stop and I feel in playing it, and I start to feel it, you're lost. You have to count every measure, and that's not something that I usually put myself into. I play a lot of hip hop and R&B and soul and stuff like that down here in Nashville. I'm the only country, but it's Johnny. Everything else is adult, and that's so to have this challenge where it's not about feel. It really made me better. It wasn't about chops at all. There was enough notes flying around with those guys. I just had to hold it down and hold it down properly, and that's me. I think I did okay. I think I did okay. Yeah,
well, it sounded like you did okay. It's kind of hard to make out the specifically your bass, but it looked like you were the guy with your head down on your fretboard and concentrating, and I could tell you were in the zone on that little clip.
Yeah, man. And if you can see, you might be able to catch a clip of my iPad. I was reading charts too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely, I was reading charts. There's a lot to remember.
Yeah, that's. I'll tell you what. That's something that's almost a musician's nightmare. That's something you wake up from and you're like, oh my God. You know what I mean? It's like, holy shit. Like punching the air and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's, because you wonder, is that sweat? Did I pee? Oh my God.
Like, was that the girl splashing in the pool, or was that me peeing on myself because I'm asleep? man.
So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's awesome, dude. Hey, how long has Emil been with Tony? Did he say?
He's only been in the last kind of the last incarnation of the band, so I think it's been just kind of 2019 and what they've done in this year, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So it's been a couple months he's been in the band, and I know that he's got some other stuff going on. I think he's going to do a Broadway gig, like not Nashville Broadway, like off Broadway, New York. He's going to do that or something, and he's teaching all the time and everything. So I don't know exactly
super cool
when he joined, but as far as I know, he's and holy cow, he plays next to Tony great. Like they just note for note.
Oh yeah, that double lead section, man. He was nailing it.
Yeah, in fact, I've got I shot some video on my iPad, so it doesn't look great. It's kind of grainy because it was dark, but right beside me at my feet, shooting up across the front of the stage to get Tony and Abel. I shot some video from there, so I'll take some clips out and I'll send them to you.
Excellent.
Of Tony's solo, the drum solo, and all these different kind of things from that silly view.
Right. Well, tell me where you might publish that stuff. Are you going to put it on your Facebook page? Give everybody your contact info where they can find you. Facebook, YouTube, wherever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Facebook, I'm TJ Armstrong. On Instagram, I'm TJ Armstrong Bass. And on the YouTube, my YouTube channel is called That Guitarded Guy, and you can find all kinds of
nice
stuff on there. Bass stuff, lessons, playthroughs, gear demos, mostly a lot of Johnny Hiland stuff on there. But that's where I'm going to post, all that stuff is on my YouTube channel, and then I'll just kind of share it over to the Facebook thing or whatever. And yeah, please come and say hi. Let me know what you guys want me to, film and shoot and stuff, because I have no idea. I sit around wondering what I should put up for content, and I have no idea.
Yeah.
The stuff I like is probably boring, and the stuff that other people like I find boring. So
I feel that way all the time. Every time I put a video up, I think this is my worst video I've ever shot, and then I always get at least 2 or 3 people saying this is the best thing you've ever done. So it's like, who knows?
I will. How YouTube says, "Hey, watch it again."
I'm sorry. What was that? You were breaking up. One more time.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know how YouTube, in your feed or whatever, it'll have, from whatever subscriptions you have, but then it'll have that one that says "Watch it again."
Right.
And it's some videos that you watched, a year ago or something. So I got one of those the other day, and in it was like some of your first videos that I'd watched a while back.
Oh wow.
And I clicked on one to hear it, and I was like, "Holy cow! It sounds like you went through puberty."
Yeah.
Like your other ones were like the audio quality was what it was, and the video quality. And now it's like you've got all this good stuff, and it's got more of a production. It's great, and it's really cool to see, that thing, like that kind of that time capsule a little bit.
Yeah.
So good on you, man, because your channel's awesome. I really like it.
Well, thanks for coming on, and thanks for sharing your experience there, man. That's definitely something, like I said, I'm sure a lot of musicians can relate to in a way, because I know we've all crammed for gigs before, anybody who's ever gigged, and just how nerve-wracking that can be, even if you're doing just the bar band gigs. So I can imagine, going on a cruise with Tony McAlpine, and that's quite the story, man.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for letting me tell it. It's pretty cool.
All right, well, TJ, we're going to sign off. Hope you guys enjoyed this interview. If you have, please hit up TJ. I'll put his links down in the description that he mentioned a little bit ago, and we'll see you later, buddy.
See you later, everybody.